you never know what's going to happen. You could hit a bad shot into the trees and you could shank it into the trees, but you could then hole it. We just don't know what's going to happen. If you can keep reminding yourself that, you then start to accept a lot of things.
Guys, welcome back to ONEPODLIFE. Happy New Year to you all, and welcome to the first episode of 2024. With 2 wins in 2023, Piers Berrington is starting to find the form we always expected to have. In this episode, we talk about his time at the golf college and how that allowed him to become a +1 golfer, the year and a half he had at university in America, plus in his own words, how he broke down the doors to get those wins. Now guys, I need your help. Whether you're a new listener or an existing one, it would really help me out if you could head over to any of your platforms that you listen from and leave me a review so that ONEPODLIFE can get out to a lot more people. In the meantime, please enjoy this episode with Piers. Okay, hey Piers, and welcome to ONEPODLIFE. How are you, my friend?
All good, thank you. Thanks for having me, as always.
You're welcome. Eager to get back to Spain, I can see it. We spoke about it a minute ago.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's tough. It's tough when you're here, really, it's just the weather and the courses. There's only so much you actually can do. So, yeah, I can't wait to get back.
Nice.
But it was also nice to have a bit of time to kind of just chill out and take it. It's been a long year, so it's always nice to chill.
It's definitely harder to be a golfer in the UK, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
But on that front, so let's start from the beginning. How did you actually get into golf? Was it a family member, or was it just by luck, or what?
No, my dad always played. He started quite late. He didn't start till I think he was about 25, 26. He didn't actually play golf until, so he was quite late, but he always got the bug for it. So when I grew up, I always kind of was around it. And my mum was actually an air hostess when I was kind of around 4 or 5. So my dad used to always just go play golf in the evenings and take me with him. So
Okay.
I was always out and about in it, but I kind of was more focused on football at the young age, up until probably about 13. Then I really kind of ummed and ahed, and I mean, my dad, he was happy whatever sport I went. He wasn't fussed, and he just wanted me to enjoy it. So I then came to the decision of actually, I'm going to play golf, and then obviously got into county level and started really coming down with my handicap quite a lot. Once I actually started focusing fully on golf and wasn't playing football on the weekends and football at school and all of that other bits and bobs. And then that was when I was like, I'm gonna do it full. And I actually got quite lucky at my school. The headmaster, he loved golf. I don't know why, but he loved golf as well. So he allowed me to actually, once a week we had like double sports, double PE it was, in the afternoons, and it was always like rugby or I think we had to do hockey at sometimes, and or rounders, and it was all just different sports I didn't really want to play. So he was quite happy with me actually going and playing golf, or going to see my coach or going to train. So I had once a week where I was actually because once I got to that stage where I was like, golf's my main priority. I didn't want to play rugby. Like, no. I wasn't interested in it. I was probably going to get injured. I'm not the biggest of guys as well. So rugby wasn't my sport. So he was cool with me just going and doing my thing. So that was pretty handy, to be honest. I got a few more extra hours that a week that I could have not had. So it was good.
That's really nice in the fact that he allowed you to do that. I don't think many other teachers would allow that. So
I know, it's pretty lucky.
I wish I had the option when I was that old, still playing rugby and getting broken, like you said.
Yeah.
So you said your dad got into it late at 25. Was there any golf in the family before that, or was that just him off his own back?
No, it was just him off his own back. They moved into the area that we used to live in, and there was a local golf club, and he was like, "Oh, maybe I should, start doing that." My granddad never played, his dad never played, or my mum's side, they never played as well. So it was quite, he kind of just saw it and saw the membership, and I think they were doing it really cheap if you lived within a certain mile radius of the course, which he did. So he's like, "Oh, I'm I'm gonna do that. And so, I mean, in the summer evenings, it was obviously perfect. You know, he had it on the
Yeah.
doorstep, so he could just walk out, and there's still a few pictures of, you know, like my dad with the golf bag and then pushing the push chair with me in it. So
Yep.
there's some funny pictures, but
That's cool.
yeah, he loved it. He never like turned pro or anything. That was never his aim. He was always doing other things. But he just loved it, and he still does to the day. So yeah,
Good stuff.
it's good.
No, it's good to hear, because obviously a lot of people come through golfing families where generations have played golf. So it's quite nice to hear that he just obviously decided to play one day and thought, I'll take my son with me. And now you're a professional golfer under his wing, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah. He was always football mad. He was football mad, and I think he tried playing football, and
As we
injuries,
all
and
do.
as they all say as well. But yeah, so he then obviously done his thing in business and everything. So yeah, it was cool, and I think that's why I kind of enjoyed doing it as well. Is because there was no push on that side of I want you to play golf, or you need to play golf, or there was none of that. It was like, all right, you want to play golf? He's like, all right. And then obviously he loved me playing and trying to make me better as well, and helping me. So there was never that side of like pressure, like, oh, you've got to do it, you've got to do this, you know, like how, I mean, you see it a lot, I guess. It's probably not the first time you've heard it, but you see it a lot in the younger generations coming up. And I've had some wild questions sent to me from some of the dads and asked, and I'm just like, I mean, your son's 7, just let him play golf, you know, like
exactly.
just let him enjoy it. So yeah, I think it's a lot different now with some of them, but yeah, that was my intro to it.
Yeah, I've got to say, obviously I've got the bug for golf a while ago, and my little girl, or my stepdaughter, has just started thinking of, I got her a junior set of clubs for Christmas, and
So
she's like, so she was like, should we get her lessons? I was like, no, just let her hit golf balls, and if she wants to do it, I'll take her down the driving range or whatever. But I'm not gonna push her to do it.
Yeah, so, just let them enjoy it. Let them enjoy it, and they'll find their own feet. Is what I say, you know.
No, exactly. So you said you got to 13, you decided that you didn't want to play football anymore and you wanted to focus more on golf. Obviously, head teacher allowed you to go off and, like you said, once a week, go with your coach or just go play golf. So what was obviously getting to 16 at the end of school, what was in those 3 years, what was your handicap at 13 and what did you get down to when you left school?
I was actually, I'm an August baby, so I'm right at the beginning of the summer holiday. So I always remember when I turned 13, I was off 13. That's how I remember it. So quite but that summer I ended up obviously really, really taking to it. At the beginning of the year was when I kind of was like, okay, I'm gonna probably start doing golf now, and started really, you know, with a coach and everything. So that year I can't remember my exact, but I came down quite a bit. And when I left school, I went to the golf college, and I arrived there at scratch. I was off. I think I was scratch or 2. Maybe it might have been 2 actually. So yeah, from 13 to 16, I kind of got down to like 2. I actually struggled for 1 year when I was 3 handicap. I actually stayed at 3 for a whole year.
Right. Okay.
I really struggled getting through that next barrier, because I guess that's the stage where you've got to really start then shooting under par. You know, playing off 5 handicap, you can kind of shoot level par and you can get it. But I feel like from that 3 handicap, or on the old system, obviously the new systems all change. I don't even know it. I don't understand it. But on the old system where it was like 0.1 or for going up and however many for coming down, you had to then really start shooting under par, so you could get kind of a 0.3, 0.4 cut. So that was when I really needed to kind of like find the next barrier and get through it. And I struggled. I had a whole year. It was probably about 15. I guess you're kind of always a bit slow that year though. Like you have all your GCSEs, you're kind of doing a bit of revision, and guess golf kind of has to go on the side to a certain extent.
Definitely.
So I struggled there, and then I finally cracked it. But then when I went to college, I was playing every day.
Yeah, I was going to say, because
We,
you joined there in 2012.
yeah,
Obviously, you was there for 3 years, and obviously you left there as a plus one golfer. So obviously something was working during those 3 years. And I was going to say to you, what do you think is the biggest turnaround during those 3 years to get you from that 2 handicap down to a plus one?
I think it was the consistency of playing. You know, I was playing every day, and then I actually went to a stage where I was actually kind of scheduling my practice because we had to. You know,
Yep.
we'd do kind of 2 hours on the range, then have a break, or then do an hour chipping, an hour putting. So it was all it was like classes, you know, like there was a putting class, there was a chipping class, range class, course management. So you then brought that whole variety in of actually I'm not just standing there hitting golf balls, and I'm not doing it my way. I'm doing it how I've kind of been told.
Yep.
So I had a great time there, enjoyed my time. You know, I got all the way down to plus 2 point something when I was at college, and then
Yep.
I slipped back up just before I left. I slipped up a little bit, but then I was kind of then focusing on my next stage, which was America, which I had lined up,
Yep.
and I kind of knew handicap was irrelevant because back then with the old handicap, I couldn't actually get cut from anything I'd done in America, so
Oh, okay.
I kind of was like, who cares about handicap now? Let's just go to America and try get a world ranking, try and win, try and do what we can do out there. So
Okay.
yeah, but the college was good. You know, it was a lot of golf, and I think that's how you do then improve. You know,
Yep.
you're up in the hours, you're up in the intensity. We're playing every week with a card in our hand, competitive competition. You know,
Hmm.
not many guys were doing that. Most guys were having to do it on school holidays because that was when the junior tournaments were. You know,
Yeah.
so that was a big difference. I think was, you know, every Wednesday having a scorecard in your hand, playing a proper medal against all the guys that are good, 50 of you, 60 of you, however many there was, um, and having to prove yourself, you know.
Hmm. No, I like it. So 2015, then you said you went off to America. I didn't actually find that in any research. I must have missed that bit. So whereabouts did you go in America? Like you said you already had it set up. So how long before you left the college did you have that ready to go, and whereabouts did you go in America?
Well, it was, I'll be honest, it was quite late. I was in with the college. We used to go to Barcelona for 3 months. We used to go for January, February, March. Um, and I was umming and ahhing whether to go. I wasn't sure. I wasn't. And one of my best mates at the time, he had already signed for Western Texas.
Okay.
Um, and they actually, I used the whole like America agency scholarship, you know, the companies, they look for players basically.
Yep.
So they liaise with the university. So my best mate was going, he was signed, he was agreed everything. And I kind of spoke to my parents and I was like, I'm maybe thinking about, you know, going to America. I think I'd like to do it. And spoke to, it was actually his uncle who was doing it. He still runs it, College America or one of them, US college.
Yep.
And I called him and I was like, look, I was like, just maybe put a portfolio together on me and fire it out and let's see what we get, you know, like, and go from there, basically. And he literally called me the next night and was like, Western Texas have called us back. They want another international student.
Hmm.
Obviously, Jordan's going. Do you want to go with him?
Yep.
And I was like, I was like, yeah, of course. But my first kind of thing was I put the phone down and I went to Jordan. And I was like, look, I was like, do you want to go on your own?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I could totally understand. I was like, they've offered me you know, to possibly come as well. I was like, do you want me to come? Do you want to do it on your own? Like what? And he was buzzing. He was like, yeah, he was like 100%. He's like, let's do it. So that kind of made me a bit more like, all right, I'm gonna go with my best mate. Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna
You
probably have the
can't
time
really.
of my life.
Yeah. Exactly. It's not great.
Yeah,
You go with your best mate, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. So it kind of took that. Not that it's, you know, well, I mean, it is. It's kind of daunting. You know, you're moving to America and if you're going on your own, you know, you haven't got. It's not like you can just hop on a flight and come home like
No.
2 hours. You know, you're a long way away. I'm 10 hours and plus another internal flight. Texas is so big. I was a good 14, 15 hours journey away. So I was like, all right, let's do it. And literally the next night, the college called me, and the golf coach spoke to me on a Zoom Skype call, and we're like, look, we really want you, seeing everything you've done, blah blah blah. You know, can we get something down, like a agreement? And they offered me whatever they offered me, and you know, spoke to my parents, and
Mhm.
my mum and dad were like, you know, if you want to do it, go for it, of course,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, and then that was like kind of February, March, and then August I'm flying off, and it came round really, really fast, to be honest, which
No, cool.
I think was better. You know, I didn't know what to expect or anything, so
Yeah.
it worked out. It worked out good in the end.
No, good. And how did you get on during those years? How long was you over there? 3 or 4 years?
No, I actually done a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I kind of my first year was really good. Um, we kind of played all the national events. You know, we played well. We were a well ranked school as well. In NJ double C Div one we were. So we played nationals and it was unbelievable. But you know, I got back out there. A few things changed at the uni. It was a little bit different to the year before. Um, and I was ready to play golf. You
Mhm.
know, I was just like, I want to play golf. Um, and I just had this urge to play golf, and I was like, you know, I called my dad, and I was like, look, I've learned everything I need to learn, you know, and I was like, I'm ready to do it. Education wasn't my favorite of things as well, so
Right. Okay.
that kind of there was a bit of well, there was quite a lot of education to it and exams and everything, and I was just like, you know, I'm ready to do it. You know, I want to turn pro. So I came back and I finished that year as amateur, and I
Okay.
always said I really wanted to win my club championship again.
Okay.
But we done it in match play, so it was throughout the whole year. So I'd only won it once, and then I obviously went to uni, so I missed 2 years out of it. Um, and I was like, I'm gonna try win it again. And I said to my parents, you know, I was kind of in the quarters or wherever it was, and I was like, I think if I win it again, I'm gonna turn pro
Okay.
and
That's good.
just do it, you know, because I was in a different situation with my amateur career. Like I got my wagger and everything, and but I wasn't low enough to the extent that I was Walker Cup or, you know, top 100 in the world on my
Yep.
wagger, and I wasn't really competing for the biggest thing. So all I was doing was paying a lot of expenses, and obviously amateur stuff, you
No.
don't
No.
win any money back or anything, you know. So I was kind of like, look, I might be young to do it, but I was like, I'm ready to do it, and you know, and I ended up winning my club champs in September, and was it the next? I think it was the next day. There was a 1 day TP event
Right. Okay.
at West Hill, and I just went and turned pro,
Love it.
and went and played it. Yeah,
No, I love
and
that
I was like,
mentality because
right,
yeah.
let's go.
No, I love that mentality because that's kind of like the reason I started doing the podcast because I've got desire. I want to try and play pro golf myself, and my theory is that I'm a bit older than you now. I'm just turned 40, so my amateur days of playing all that sort of stuff's over. So
Yeah, yeah,
my aim is literally, like you said, it's just one day decide, right, you know what, I'm just going to play pro now, and just literally
hundred
turn up at a
percent.
tournament, pay my money, and go right. I now play pro golf. So yeah, I
Yeah,
love that. I think it's great.
yeah. It's kind of like it's just that you know, I think it can be hyped up and bigged up, and I spoke to a few people, and you know, they were like to me, look, it's a whole different ball game. Like
Oh yeah.
it's a different world. You know, it's different pressures, it's different everything. And they were like, you just got to do it.
Mm.
Um, and I just went, and I was playing good at the time. I felt confident in what I was doing, and I just went and played, and I actually finished second and picked up a check. Obviously, first event, which was like a massive relief because
Nice.
picking up your first check as a pro is
Yeah.
could sometimes one of the hardest things, you know. So I was just like, right, that's that, and I just carried on playing that, and for till the end of the year, and then I was like, right, what's the plan for next year?
And then was that, so that was what, that must have been around sort of like what, 2000, what sort of, I don't know,
when
16,
did
17,
yeah, I
18?
think, yeah, maybe 18, I think it was.
Yeah, because in 19 you played in the Gecko Tour. You won the Gecko Tour final, didn't you?
Yeah, so it was a year before that.
Right. Okay.
It was the year before that, and it would have. So that was 2016. Did you say that I won that?
2019 is when you won the Gecko
19,
Tour final.
19. So
Yeah.
it would have been 2017, the end of 17.
Okay.
And I then spoke to my coach and everything at the time, and explained it all to him, that he agreed and everything. And I said, now what?
Yeah. Yeah.
What should I go and play on? I'd miss European Tour, Q School, and all of that stuff. And he was like, well, in my opinion, he was like the Alps Tour,
Yeah.
because he was like, you have 1 year at it. He said, I always find that the biggest thing is if you can't travel, pack it in.
Yep.
Like, and I didn't feel like I'd have a problem with the travel because I'd been away all the years. I've been in America. I'd always loved it. So, but he was like, I've coached so many guys who played Europro, got to challenge or DP, were away, homesick, hated it, and threw it in. And it was like, well, what a waste of all the years trying to do it
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you
Definitely.
don't like it in the end, So he was like, look, I think you should go to Alps or Q School, which is in December. See how you do. If you get a card there, play that. If not, we can look at Europro or other option.
Yeah.
So yeah, headed to first stage, 10th of December, I think it was that year, at the Carla, and cruised through first stage, got through there, and then I had to wait a few days for final stage, and got through final stage, got my full card first go. So I was kind of like, right, time to do it now, I guess.
I love it. So yeah, that you said, so you did a full year on App Store, is that right? And then
I done 2 years.
oh, you 2 years,
Um,
fantastic.
I done my first year and my second year, and then I went back to Austria. Back to Austria. I went back to Egypt on the third year, and as soon as we came back, the day I landed, we went into lockdown.
Oh mate, that's harsh. So it's kind
I,
of
I
flying and
struggled.
then
I struggled my first few years. I went to the first event on Alp Store my first year after getting my card was in Egypt, and I was in the final group of the first event, playing really well, and kind of, I don't know, I don't it didn't at the time, didn't feel like it got to me, but I just started off real bad. Like, first 5 holes I was 5 over through 5, and ended up shooting level from there on and finished 5 over for the day, which knocked me down to, I don't know what it was, I think it was like 20th or something, I don't know. And then I've really struggled throughout the whole of the year just to kind of find something. Lost my card, had to go back to final stage, went back to final stage, got my card, played again the second year, the same, struggled again. Changed a few things, and then was obviously ready to go. And then the COVID situation hit, which was tough, especially when you was playing Alp Store, because they didn't freeze any categories, which obviously everywhere else froze the categories. So they didn't freeze any categories, and I couldn't go to any countries because they were all red listed. Whereas I think the way it must have been, but like the Spanish countries and stuff, they could still go to like Italy and France, and
right, okay.
so they were still playing. They played through that first bit. They postponed a few events, of course, but they ended up finishing a season somehow, and I lost my card, and I couldn't go back to final stage because it was in Italy, and that was red for us. So yeah, I just ummed and ahed, and I was like, I could go and do it, but I've got to then isolate. That was back when the whole hotel thing was around, so I
Oh, okay, yeah.
would have had to go in a hotel for 10 days,
Mm.
and I was just like, it's gonna cost a fortune to go and do
Yep,
it, you know, like.
yep.
So I sat that out, and then obviously there was no Q school for Euro Pro, so I couldn't play that. So I kind of had about a year and a half where I was kind of like I couldn't do anything,
That's
and I
harsh.
was just like 1 day events, 2 day
Mm.
event. I think luckily at that time Clutch came about,
Yep.
so they kind of had like open access where I could still go and play. Um, and then once it all kind of resumed, I didn't go back to Alps Tour because I was just looking at flights and car hire, and
Hmm.
it was a fortune.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
going to cost me way too much, and I was like, I haven't got a budget for that. So I didn't even go back to Q school, and I ended up going to Europro Q school.
It's sort of 2021. I think you played on the Toro Tour as well, down Andalusia, and you won 2 times on that, which was pretty cool. And then, like you said, you went to Europro, and you got obviously 2022. You played pretty much a full season on Europro. Well, which I guess is probably the uh, obviously playing on Alps Tour is obviously really good, but I guess Europro, so there's some great golfers on there. So I guess that was probably your first real sort of introduction to golf in the UK at sort of pro level. Um, and then like
Yeah,
showed you what you needed to do to get to that next level, I guess.
yeah. I mean, it was kind of I went through kind of my whole career of my early career of always playing abroad. Like I
Yep,
didn't every winter I used to go to Spain, play the Gecko Tour, the Toro Tours for the whole winter, and
yep.
I loved playing them, and I really enjoyed it, and kind of got my game used to it. Um, Still struggled on Alps, but I was like, I'm getting somewhere. I was like, I'm, I know what I need to be doing. I know the areas I need to be moving on, and I kind of was like, okay, something's starting to happen here. And then yeah, that kind of all went a different direction, and
Hmm.
then I was like, right, back to England, and kind of not relearn, but I guess I hadn't played any golf for 3 years really in England, and I was like, okay, let's get back to this then.
Yeah, yeah.
So I struggled again, really, to be honest. I think I only made one cut in my first year on Europro.
Hmm.
One or yeah, I think it was one cut. So I mean, it was tough times, like you're doing all of this and you're not making cuts, and you're like, have I made the right decision?
Yep.
Should I stayed at uni longer and waited? But I think it's always part of the journey.
Of
It
course it is.
kind of
Yeah. You got to go through
helped me
those.
now.
Yeah, you got to go through those bad times to make the good times
Yeah,
even better. So, and they build character and make you the person you are. So, yeah, you got to do it. But obviously, in 2022 Euro Pro season, you got a best finish of tied seventh, I believe. So you started, and I think you made quite a few cuts in the second season on Euro Pro, and then unfortunately that then crashed down as well. So it's not much luck for you on this pro tour so far, is it? And then but like you said, Clutch was around, and obviously you've been doing a little bit of that, and obviously 2023 they kind of came into their own really and sort of took over Euro Pro, which is great. And then I've obviously I've kind of knew about you sort of start of 2023, and sort of looked around a little bit and saw what you were doing. But you managed to get 3 second places in 2023 before you actually, in your own words, broke down the door and got a win. What was you feeling about when you was getting those second places? Did you ever think it was ever going to happen to get another win under your belt?
uh yeah. Obviously you're always believing that you will do it, and it will open, and you know maybe had I had 4 or 5 seconds, then I would have started humming and ahhing. But
Yeah.
no, I think three was it was showing me that I was just playing good golf, and I changed a lot at the beginning of 2023. I changed all kind of obviously I used to go play the Gecko Tour and everything, and play through the winters, and I changed it all at the beginning of that year, and I kind of realized that, you know, my 2022, I played well in Europro. You know, I had some good finishes, some top tens. I picked up a slight injury in the last event and actually had to withdraw. And I then was still struggling a lot at Tour Champs, and Tour Champs was Lochern. I don't know if you played Lochern, but what a golf course
No, I
that
haven't
is.
played that yet.
It's unbelievable. I mean, and then in October in Northern Ireland is even harder, I tell you.
Yep.
So I played some good golf. I just had some sloppy holes that didn't really let me in. So I dropped down quite a bit. So I was like, you know, took a bit more positives out of it, really. I was like, it's been a good year. You know, we kind of done what we needed. We kept our card. And then we obviously found out that that's irrelevant because
Yep. Yep.
because the Europro closed down. So there was a lot more to it. So then I was really ready this year. This year just gone 2023. I was ready to go, kind of thing. And I kind of was umming and ahhing whether to go to Spain. And I actually got a phone call from one of my friend's friends at the time. And he was living out in Qatar, and he was starting up kind of performance training towards golf. And he called me and was like, look, Brandon's out here. He was like, I'd like you to, you know, come out for a few weeks training if you want. You know, I've got some ideas I want to run by you, and you might be interested or not. But if not, you can just come, and, you know, we've got great facilities here, everything. You can just prepare for the season. So I was kind of like, when do you want me out? And he was like, well, whenever. So I literally booked a flight for like 3 days later.
Love it.
And flew straight out to Qatar. And yeah, he was starting up to get into the golf side of it. He was a personal trainer, or he is a personal trainer, but a golf specific one. Worked at a good golf club out in Qatar. And then he had a few ideas to go a bit further into it with what he'd done on the golf side of it. And, you know, he was like, look, I'd love to work with you. You know, these are my ideas. I think it would help you a lot. And I was like, this is what I need. I said, like, this is what I really need. So I spent 6 weeks out there with him. And we kind of reassessed my whole life, I'd probably say, you know, not just on course stuff. There was a lot of off course stuff. And both on course, and we really kind of got down to what needs to be changed, what areas need to be kind of looked at and targeted. That we got on to doing, and it ended up really paying off this season. You know,
could you elaborate on one of those areas? On course one.
An on course one was well, the main one was the gym side of it. I've never been a fan of the gym. I don't know. It just hasn't been me. You know, I'm not the biggest of guys. Everyone see me. I'm not the biggest, but I always found it hard to get into the gym. You know, I would always go to the gym and I'd really ache, and I'd then not want to, you know, it'd be aching when I'm practicing, and then so I'm like, I've got a tournament, there's no chance of doing it. So, but he really changed my output and look on the gym. You know, he trains a lot differently. So it's kind of not about like just lifting dumbbells and bench press and you know, squatting. It's about really moving correctly for your body. So we tested my whole body. We've done probably, I think we was in there for about 4 hours with kind of his device that he uses, and we literally measured the strength of every part of my body in different areas and the techniques that he worked on. And it was just focusing on what's going to make me better. You know, I'm not the same as anybody else. I'm not going to go in to a gym and do tricep pull downs if I don't need to, you know. And he really kind of changed my view of like, I haven't got to be in there for hours. I haven't got to be doing it. And it's literally just do what I need to do that day and get out. I think that's been a lot of my my mindset over the years, especially when I brought my psychologist in as well, I then found out that actually, when you see everybody doing things, and you do see it when you turn up to these tournaments, people hitting golf balls for hours, and the day before tournaments hitting putts and everything. And sometimes it might just not be for you, or you overdo it. And I really found that I was overworking before the tournament.
Okay.
I was doing way more, and I didn't actually have the correct energy, and I wasn't really as fresh when it came to the last few days. That's when you really need to be. So we changed all that sort of side of like, right, let's get out the mindset of we need to be doing this, need to be doing this. Like, let's do what you need to do and get in and do it. Once you've done it, you've done it. There's nothing more you can do, So the gym was the main aspect of it that we really, really worked on. And then it went to a bit more of course management side of my putting just wasn't good enough. That year of 2023, I missed, I think it was from inside 8 foot, from 5 to 6 foot, I missed more than I made, basically.
Right, okay.
5 and 6 feet in that 2023 season. 2022 season, sorry, on Europro, where I actually played the case. So, I was just like, I was missing everything I looked at, really. I mean, you're not going to hold them all, but even if I 70%, it would have been more than, I was at about 42%, I think, from literally 5 and 6 foot, which is horrendous, to say the least. Like there's no good way of putting that. It was shocking.
In the nicest way, it was quite shocking.
It was shocking. So obviously that was the main big right, this is what we need to target, this. But the way that your mindset thinks, especially as a player, or how I did, was I was like, you've got to hit it better, gotta do this, gotta do that. And it's quite funny, we sat down in Qatar and kind of said, right, what do you think's good and what do you think's bad? And I was like, well, I think I struggled with my long irons, don't feel great. I've let a lot of shots off of my long irons and all of this, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, we pulled up all my stats and it was completely the opposite to what I was thinking, and it's like just this really locking into the correct parts of it, which we've obviously continued this year to really go through, which I think has then become a massive help, because every event we've then sat down, done a review of every event, done all my stats and worked out what was my weakness of that event. So for example, like pitching from, I don't know, 60 to 100 yards could have been sloppy. Oh no, that was it. At St. Melly in the first event this year. My pitching inside 120, I missed 11 greens.
Okay.
And I was like, what's going on? From literally 120, and I was like, what's going? Now, don't get me wrong, St. Mellion is horrendously hard and blowing and horrible. So there were some shots I was like, right, I can understand why I missed it. But yeah, I mean, it was not good enough, So the next 2 weeks before the next event was just absolutely grinding in on 60 to 120 yards, and I just made a test and I was going through it 3 or 4 times a day and constantly redoing it. And it then showed that was one of my strengths the next few weeks, was from inside that. But golf as well. Unfortunately, we can never be perfect at everything, So every week there's something different is off, where it's your putting, chipping, whatever it is. So if you're always looking back on it and going, right, I really struggled this week on this, let's really work hard next 2 days or 3 days on those areas, to make them a strength. Something else will be off, but that and you accept that. No. So as long as this bit's good, we can work with what I've got. So I think it was just a little bit more of kind of zoning in and kind of really pinpointing and being a lot more specific with everything. Training a lot harder, training with more kind of purpose to it, as well.
No, it's definitely something I've realised over the last year, is that first of all, data doesn't lie. So like you said, you thought you were good at one
Yeah.
thing, but the data's saying something else. So you got to go with what the data says. So that's one thing I'm really starting to hone in the last sort of 2 months, is really get the work out what's best way for me to record the stats, then obviously then start reviewing it properly in a way that's going to help me. So yes, I think that's, like I said, it's a one thing everyone needs to be doing. And like, yeah, I think the fact that you identified that you need to sort of change quite a lot in your entire life, I guess, like you said, it wasn't just working out how to hit a golf ball, or okay, you shot some 120 yards. It was everything involved that actually helps you get that extra 1%,
Yeah.
10% better. So no, I like it. It's good.
Yeah. Even to kind of um your personal habits, like I had to change a lot of personal habits that were like things that you always do, and that's your day-to-day life. But like, and now I've kind of worked on them. It's amazing. You see how many people that do it, and small things like just the negative comments, like, oh,
Yep.
it's raining today, like as soon as you wake up, and it's just like, there's little things, little moans, and it's always, the more that you have them, the more that it does
Yep.
really knock you down,
Yeah,
um
definitely.
I think that kind of might have played a role into the sense of Goodwood,
Hmm.
because the greens weren't amazing, and there was a lot of complaints going around, and not complaints, but you're playing with people and they were missing parts, and it was like, oh, these greens, and
Yeah, yeah.
and I was kind of just minding my business, and just, it's the same for everybody. I was like, some are gonna go in and some are gonna miss. I'm gonna three putt. I'm gonna
Yep.
hold a couple of long ones. Like, let's just see when they come,
Hmm.
and I think if you have that understanding of it, and that kind of like, especially when it's like that, you're gonna three putt. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
the greens are rubbish. You're
Hmm.
gonna hit a bobble. It's gonna come up 7 foot short, and then you're gonna miss it. Like, it's gonna happen. When it happens, okay, on to the next.
Yeah. You're almost saying what I know you mentioned Brandon. I'm guessing it's Thompson,
Yeah,
Robinson
yeah,
Thompson.
Robinson Thompson.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
and I spoke to him a few weeks ago, and he was saying that it's all about acceptance. It's almost what you're saying there. You got to accept that these things are going to happen. So just roll with
yeah,
it. No point moaning about it. Just get on with it.
yeah, yeah. It's a big thing that we've both worked on. He does it really well, to be honest. And obviously he's 4 or 5 years older than me, four
Yep.
years older than me, I think he is. So I'm just kind of, he's obviously my best mate, and everyone's probably seen the season he's had as well. It's been
Yep.
incredible. So I'm just, there are things that I work on with him, and if I'm 4 years younger and I can get to where he is on a golf course in the mental side of it,
Yep.
um, it's only going to be positives, because I do believe that what we're both working on kind of the same things, but in the long run they're going to really pay off.
No, definitely.
Um, and
No,
it's
good
it's
one.
the only way to be really on the golf course. There's your likes of like Tyrrell Hatton, for example, who gets angry, and that's the best way to be. But
Yep.
for most, well, for me, it's just, it doesn't work. It's all about understanding, and to be honest, you never know what's going to happen.
No.
Like in this game,
No.
it's like you could hit a bad shot into the trees, and you could shank it into the trees, but you could then hole it. Like, you just, unfortunately with this game, we all play it. We're all crazy who play this game, because
Yep.
we just don't know what's going to happen. I think that's quite important. If you can keep reminding yourself that you then start to accept a lot of things, and you then start to see it in the season. You'll hit a shot and 9 iron, and it might go to 30 foot, and you're not too happy, and then you hold it from 30 feet, and you're like,
Hmm.
oh, and it's like you see it so many times, or somebody misses a green but then chips in, and
Yep.
it's like, had I got annoyed, whatever, that some other people do, and lose your head and everything, whereas we're all good enough to do everything. that is the thing, you know. So we never know what's going to happen because we can hold a bunker shot, we can hold it from the trees, we can do anything. We've all done it before. We've all hit those shots, you know. So why can't you do it again? Why can't you hold a 7-iron? Like you never know what's coming for you. So yeah, that's what I would just walk around the golf course telling myself that, you know, just you never know what's going to happen next. Like, and let's keep hitting and walk and see where we end up and in 4 or 5 hours time, you know.
All right, cool. Let's get some quick questions. So, obviously, you did get into golf quite young. So, who was your idol growing up?
Tiger Woods.
Yeah, I knew he was going to say that. You're from that era.
No, Tiger.
It's weird because when people ask me that question, because I only got into golf when I was 35, so what, sort of 5 years ago. So for me, Tiger wasn't really around. I knew who Tiger was, but he wasn't really someone I looked up to. So I look at more like a Jason Day. He's my kind of idol.
Okay, yeah. It's an interesting deal he's just signed there with Melbourne, isn't it?
Yeah, I quite like that. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, I do. It looks good on him as well.
Yeah, it does. I need to get a Melbourne deal as well. That would look good on me. Right. What's the best golf course you've ever played?
Oh, now get asked this so many times. The problem is you play too many. I'm gonna put it out there. Probably my most fun day on a golf course was Old Head.
Okay.
We played Old Head. I had the boys, and it was 20 degrees, no wind. Like it was incredible. Like it was good fun. Yeah.
Good stuff. I just thought of one, but my brain's just gone dead. What was it? Okay, that was it. What was your most memorable shot you've ever hit?
My most memorable shot. I mean, I think one that will never go from me is I made an albatross in America in one of the events. And I actually started. It was a par 4, and then par 5, par 3, and I actually started double bogey, and then I made albatross on the par 5. I hold a 4-iron up and over. Pin was on the left, and I mean, looking back at me, my young brain, I don't know why I've ever gone for this flag, but it was like an island green hanging off on the left, and the flag was on the left, and I've just gone straight at this flag and hold a 4-iron, and then rocked up and made 2 on the next. So I was like level par through 4, and I was like,
that's a
I
crazy
don't know
card.
what's going on here. Yeah. So I mean that one always sticks out. You know, an albatross, they hardly ever come. You know, so I think that must be one of them.
Good stuff. And last one is obviously you're good friends with Declan Rice, and I see you guys have formed quite a nice sort of bond on a golf course. I saw you play with against Ange and Jimmy Bullard, which was quite good fun to watch. So if you and Declan could become a dream, you could become your ultimate match play pair. Who would your dream pair to play against be?
I mean, Tiger's got to be in there, hasn't he?
Yep.
To play with Tiger. For me, I would probably go Tiger and of any sports.
Any sports, doesn't matter who it is.
Oh God. I mean, I'll probably go Tiger and probably like David Beckham or something. I don't know. It's kind of like when I was growing up, I always used to when I was playing football, I was always number 7, and Beckham was kind of the one that I liked at football. So yeah, probably Tiger and Beckham will be pretty fun.
Good stuff. Okay, cool. So, like I said to you at the beginning of the podcast, what I like to do at the end is really dive into your toolbox of what you think an aspiring golfer should be doing. So, for example, obviously I told you earlier, I want to try and play pro golf one day. I currently play a 5. So, what do you think I should be doing from a quite a sort of base level? Are the 3 top things you think I should be doing to get better and hopefully turn pro one day? If you dive into a little bit deeper into why you think those things, that'd be great.
Definitely, I think the first one is putting. You know, you've got to be the best putter. We watch it on TV, we watch it when we're playing events. You've seen it, we've all seen it. most of the time the best putter wins.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all these guys, we all hit it the same. We all hit it good. It's just who putts best on that week. I think Rory is the prime example. Like, he's such a good ball striker, but if he's not putting well, he won't win.
Yep.
He's and when he does putt, when he does putt well, he clears up, like he smashes it. So I think, the old saying, drive for show, putt for dough, it is so true. Like,
Yep.
if you can't putt, you won't make any money.
Mm-hmm.
So I think putting is the first and foremost one, just being a good putter. Second one is definitely course management, as in with your head. I think you got to be better than everybody mentally. Um, Again, it comes down to the same sorts of thing. If you're hitting it as good and you're putting as good as a few other boys on the tour, if you're mentally better than them, you're going to gain one or two shots over a 4-day span.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely different to an 18-hole medal, because most tournaments you're there for 3 or 4 days. So you're going to have good times, bad times. You're going to have spells all over the place. But if you let the good ones affect you and you let the bad ones affect you, you're going to be up and down. So I think if you can just accept everything,
Yep,
as good as you can, I think at the end of the week it balances itself out. If you're playing good golf and you're holding parts and you're very good mentally, you're going to have a good chance of finishing decent, if not winning.
mm-hmm.
That's what I think.
Yeah, that's good. And then the last
Um,
one.
Third one. What's the third one? Um, yeah, it would be something along the lines of your stats and data wise, and um, understanding your game as good as you can. Understand what your comfy shot is and what your not so comfy shot is.
Mm.
For example, I'm very fade biased when I hit the ball, so
Okay.
I don't move it right to left unless I have to move it around a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I can move it right to left. Don't get me wrong. Like, I can
Yep.
stand there, I can hit a draw, but I just never hit it because I don't really need to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my game. I know to aim down the left side of every fairway and bleed it back into the fairway. And I know to favour left side of the greens, but then I also know when the flags are on the left, for me, I know not to get too close to the danger.
Yep.
And I also accept on a left flag that I'm going to have a longer putt,
Yep.
because my
You're fading in.
tendency is to overcut it, and I don't want to go too straight at it in case I pull it, or
Yeah, yeah.
so it it's just, I can see the flags the day before, and I know where I'm going to attack. I know where I'm not going to attack, and I know some holes are going to be a par four, and I'm gonna hit a 2-iron, and I'm gonna hit a 4-iron onto the green, or up by the green, and I'm gonna chip and I'm gonna putt, and
Mm-hmm.
make my par and walk off.
Yep.
So I think understanding your game will really then take you to a different level of knowing not take that shot on, not take that shot on, and not short side yourself, and because that's how the doubles come.
Yep.
You go at a flag and you pull it,
Mm.
and you're in trouble, and you duff the chip and whatever.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
soon
No.
racks up. So I think just accepting a lot of things, and if you know your game really well, you know how to build yourself and get yourself around that golf course, because your game is going to be completely different to mine, and
Yeah, definitely.
that's
Well,
just how it is.
thank you. Well, I got the first point covered because my handle is one putt life, so that's pretty easy. Now the course management one is definitely something I've got to work on. Because yeah, I can keep it going for a couple of holes, but then I'll lose it a little bit. So that's something I've really sort of focused on for 2024. And like I've already said, I've already started with the data. So I really want to.
Yeah, yeah,
Me and my coach have said that we want to make 2024 the year of data. Just really pile it
of
in, and
course, yeah,
every time I play, even if it's on a par three course, just get it in,
yeah,
and really understand, right, what am I doing with each club. And like you said, what is my favourable shot, as opposed to in a pressure situation, what shot comes out, and just see. No, I know what to do.
Yeah, and what you don't like, sometimes you have to do it, you gotta hit a hook and everything, but also you don't have to. Every golf course you can build your own way around it, and I think if you get them, you'll be good, and just keeping the acceptance. The acceptance is so key, and just accepting what happens. If you finish 60th, accept it. If you finish 6th, accept it. And it's a new week, it's a new course, it's a new time to play. So we go again and do. If you just keep doing all of that, what you put out to get yourself to do, that's all that you can control. I can only control the things that I get myself to do. The outcome's the outcome. And I can't control the outcome, but I can control what I can do. That's the way I look at it.
I really like that. Piers, thank you very much for coming on and giving us your time to chat about yourself and give everyone a bit of advice on how they could probably get better. And like I said, if they want to get down to a level where they can turn pro, I think they obviously need to take those tips into consideration and get going. So thank you very much.
Perfect. Thanks for having me, Lloyd.
Cheers, pal. Oh, actually, one more thing. What are your main goals for 2024?
2024 main goals is to pick up another win.
Yep.
And either secure my card on challenge or DP. Okay, they're going to be my two main ones. We have other ones that are going to be put in towards my game and shorter term ones, but they're the overall ones. Got a few invites on challenge, so take advantage of one of them and try get a win in one of them, and then push on and try keep a card, secure a card on either challenge or Q school, or however we get it. Maybe on DP, we'll see.
Fantastic. Well, good luck, mate, and I'll be looking out and see what you get up to.
Thanks a lot, mate. Cheers, Harvey.